first, here's a walk through the vendor hall. There were a lot of different vendors there this year, which was cool. A lot of vendors from all over the United States, which was really nice. So there was games that you wouldn't normally see here in the local Phoenix area that were all brought in from all over the place. Lots of cosplay too. There was a whole area, like 2 hallways dedicated to cosplay, and there was a bunch of the different local cosplay clubs there that had booths, and that was pretty neat too. As you can see, there were booths of all different sizes. There were big game store booths. There were booths that had like arts and craft type stuff, perler art, custom original artwork. There were some t-shirt vendors, which was pretty cool too. Lots of neat t-shirts. And there were booths for a lot of the homebrew developers there that had new homebrew games coming out. There were also a lot of good panels. Pro Jared did a panel that was hilarious. I went to that one. I went to the Metal Jesus Rocks panel. I unfortunately missed the Pat the NES Punk panel. Who else was there? I'm trying to think. Oh, the Completionist was there. A lot of Alpha Omega Sin had a panel. A lot of different panels. Lots of people having a good time this year, which was cool. It seemed like there were a lot more vendors there this year than last year, and a lot of different stuff to look at. You could spend almost a whole day just looking at everything in the vendor hall. It wasn't just video game related things too. The Game On Expo is about gaming of all types. So video games, retro gaming, modern gaming, console gaming, PC gaming, tabletop gaming, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon cards, all that stuff was going on this weekend. There were whole big rooms devoted just to tabletop games, Magic the Gathering games going on. I actually bought some dice so I could start playing some Dungeons and Dragons because I haven't played that since junior high. The Mesa Convention Center is a pretty big place, and this was a big expo. It definitely was a lot bigger and more spread out this year than it was last year. And here's the Super Nintendo Sony PlayStation CD attachment prototype. This was pretty cool to see. They were actually letting people play it, which was neat. Here's some close-up pictures. And that just blows my mind to see Sony PlayStation on a Super Nintendo controller. Definitely a cool thing to see in person. And here's kind of the retro console area. They had a ColecoVision hooked up to an old TV. They had a Vectrex going there. Lots of different Super Nintendos and Sega Genesis hooked up with different games in them. All kinds of cool stuff in here to do. There was a N64 area set up, and they were doing 007, GoldenEye, and Mario Kart tournaments. Some gaming going on there on projectors. Lots of cool stuff going on. This little Neo Geo cabaret cabinet was pretty cool too. You don't hardly see these. It looks just like a 2-slot Neo Geo, but it's miniaturized. And a cool Nintendo red tent there. Now here's another free play area that they had set up, and they had a couple of Japanese arcade games in here, which you don't see these very often in Arizona, so these were cool to see. I've never actually sat at one and played one before, so I got to do that, and that was fun. And they also had a bunch of modern consoles and modern PCs set up in here for PC and modern console gaming. Bunch of Xbox Ones, and they had a few tournaments in here. And this was the retro living room is what they called it. And this was cool. They started on Friday, and they pulled out consoles starting with like the Magnavox Odyssey, the RCA Studio 2. This is a laser active system, which is pretty cool with the Sega Genesis model. And they would just pull a console out for an hour and let people play it. And they started, like I said, on Friday with ancient consoles basically, and just kind of worked their way through the timeline where when they got to the point Sunday at the end of the show, they had some of the more modern consoles going. And they had, like I said, this little living room area set up. It was neat. It was one of my favorite parts of the convention. And then here's the big free play arcade area. And as you can see, they had tons of awesome arcade games. I spent a lot of time playing that Tron game right there, and Final Fight. And that Tapper is an original cabinet with all the wood and brass accents. They also had a stage in here with live music performances going on. Friday night the mini bosses performed, so that was really cool to play retro arcade games with the mini bosses performing live in the same room. That was fun. So we got a Play Choice 10 and a Donkey Kong cabinet. Narc, which I haven't played that in a long time. That was fun. And I'm a sucker for these vector graphics games like Star Wars and Major Havoc. I haven't played Major Havoc since I was a kid. This Star Wars Battle Pod game drew quite the line all weekend. Here's some more arcade games, Killer Instinct, a couple of fighting games, Mortal Kombat games. Even some pinball machines, which was cool. I do like that Kiss machine. And they had a Mario Kart GP DX, which was neat. Two cabinets set up side by side. Here's some more arcade games. I did play that Pole Position Machine quite a bit, and Popeye. That's, I think, my favorite arcade game. I played the crap out of that. And I will leave you with a shot of this super sexy Nintendo Versus system with Castlevania and Excitebike in it. Hey, thanks again so much for watching. If you got a minute, why don't you check out one of my other videos I've got here, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.